Greetings everyone, Baldus here. In this video I'm going to go through all of the uniques available to Druid in Diablo 4. Bear in mind that uniques are very rare pieces of gear that often have extremely powerful effects that can change the way you play. However, it will take a fair amount of grinding to farm specific ones for a build. Let's start off with the helmets. So firstly we have Andariel's Visage. A lucky hit up to 15 to 20% chance to trigger a poison nova that applies poisoning damage over 5 seconds to enemies in the area. Well, straight away we can synergize this with a legendary node from the Paragon board, Heightened Malice. While there are 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby, you deal 45% increased damage. This can synergize with any of the builds, so it would definitely one to use. For the next one we have Harlequin Crest, gain 10 to 20% damage reduction, and in addition gain plus 4 ranks to all skills. Damage reduction is just a nice defensive layer, but what's really nice is the ranks to all skills. It's universal for any Druid build, so it's just going to increase the damage based on the skill or duration or effect. It just depends on what the skill is and how it scales. But this is just going to be good for any build. In particular, it could also scale nicely with Nature's Fury because it gives points to those skills that are getting triggered. So it just increases the damage of those triggered skills. Next up we have Tempest Roar. On a lucky hit, Storm skills have up to a 15 to 25% chance to grant Force Spirit, and your base Storm skills are now also Werewolf skills. This is the unique you need for the Werewolf Storm Tornado build, which is very powerful as you need Tornado to be able to be on your bar while you're in dire Werewolf form. It's paired with a few of the legendaries that give you that makes Grizzly Rage a Direwolf skill instead of Werebear skill. So it's a very powerful build, one of the best potentially in the endgame. The next one is Vasili's Prayer. Your Earth skills are now also Werebear skills and Fortify. So this is reasonably similar to the last unique, but instead of Werewolf it is for Werebear skills, and instead of Storm it's for Earth. So this will synergize with something like a Trample Slide build, where you want to be in your Grizzly Rage but also use Landslide and Earth Spike potentially. Could be a decent unique for that kind of build. That's everything with the helmets. Now for the chest armors. So for the first chest we have Satiable Fury. Werebear form is now your true form, and you gain +2 ranks to all Werebear skills. Again, the +2 ranks to all Werebear skills would be something nice. It's a nice buff to those skills, but it'll also synergize well with the previous helmet unique I just talked about when making Earth skills also Werebear skills. So when you're running that same build with Landslide and Trample, you could also gain more ranks to those Earth skills as well. Other unique chest armors include this one, Mad Wolf's Glee, where it's very similar to Insatiable Fury, as Werewolf form is now your true form, and you gain +2 ranks to all Werewolf skills. So this is the same way would benefit the Storm Tornado build with Werewolf, where Storm skills become Werewolf skills, so they gain ranks as well. In addition, obviously both these legendaries have a cool aesthetic, so you're always in either your Werewolf or Werebear. Next up we have Razorplate. I think this is a universal unique for any class, but it's just to gain a certain amount of thorns. It has no other buffs, so I don't really know how good this would be, but anyone wanting to make a thorns build, I guess this would be the unique. So let's move on to gloves. So first one we have Fists of Fate. Your attacks randomly deal 1% to 300% of their normal damage. So I guess this is just an RNG factor kind of unique that could result in massive numbers, especially with something like Overpower and Pulverize. You know, if you're already doing a lot of damage with a Pulverize hit, just imagine if you roll 300% on top of that. It's gonna be some big numbers. Next up, Frostburn. Lucky hit chance to 15 to 25% to freeze enemies for 2 seconds. I'm not sure if this would synergize well with Druid, as we don't have any other forms of cold damage or freeze, so I think this is another universal one that I mean it could help with CCing actually, but probably not as good as Fists of Fate if you could get that. For the pants, we have Storm's Companion, the first one. Your wolf companions are infused with the power of the storm, dealing lightning damage and gaining the Storm Howl ability. Well, we don't know what the Storm Howl ability is, but it could be something like increase lightning damage or increase ranks to storm skills or something like that. Another one that could pair with a tornado werewolf build or just a companion build that focuses around lightning damage and such. Quite an interesting one. I'm looking forward to seeing what Storm Howl actually does. For the other unique pant, we have Temerity. Effects that heal you beyond 100% life grant you a barrier up to 40 to 80% of your maximum life. That is quite a significant barrier, potentially one of the best ones for a defensive tanky build. I could see that going into any build really, because if you've seen some of the leaks from the endgame, the monsters seem like they do quite a lot of damage. So building defense is definitely something that we'll have to do. Onto the boots, we only have one unique boot. You leave behind a trail of frost that chills enemies. Deal 10% more damage to chilled enemies. Yeah, this is a pretty lackluster unique for Druid, as we don't really have any kind of frost damage or chill effect already. 10% damage seems a bit low really, where we can get other legendaries that do a lot more. For the unique weapons, we have a few to choose from. Doombringer, I believe, is the universal weapon any class can use. It's not good for Druid, so I'll just skip this one. For the Druid ones, we have Great Staff of the Crone. I covered this in a guard video a few days ago. It makes Claw become a storm skill and also cast Storm Strike at 120 to 150% normal damage. Storm Strike is another generator, the one that gives you vulnerability and damage reduction. This is just another good unique that could synergize well with Tornado Werewolf build, because Claw is now a storm skill, and then with the other unique that makes storm skills become werewolf skills, I think it should synergize back into that kind of werewolf storm skill. So it should just add a bit more damage and provide a few more buffs. Next we have Butcher's Cleaver. Lucky hit when you critically strike an enemy, you have a 100% chance to fear and slow them by 40 to 75%. I'm not actually sure what fear does. I'll have a look into that actually just to see what it does, but either way, this should be a pretty decent unique just to help defensive areas inside dungeons. You know, if you can CC enemies, they're less likely to hit you and deal damage. Next up we have Waxing Gibbous. Gain stealth for 2 seconds when killing enemies with Shred. Breaking stealth with an attack grants ambush, which guarantees critical strikes for 1 to 2.5 seconds. This obviously pairs well with a Shred build, so you could link this with the other build I made on Werewolf, where we're focused around critical striking and critical damage. So this just adds another layer of guaranteed critical strikes, and obviously with high crit damage, you're going to be doing more damage more often. That's all for the weapons. Now on to the accessories. We have Melted Heart of Selig. Gain plus 30% maximum resource. In addition, when you take damage, drain 3 to 6 resource for every 1% life you would have lost instead. So this is quite an interesting interaction. Definitely a defensive based amulet. So I mean, I think in the end game we're going to be gaining a lot of spirit and resource generation. So depending on what build you make, if you can maintain high spirit generation, this can give you a really nice defensive layer, ultimately preventing you from dying in some of those end game level 100 nightmare dungeons. And there's only one amulet. For the rings, we have Hunter's Zenith. Gain a bonus when you kill with shape-shifting skills. For Werewolf, your next non-ultimate werebear skill costs no resource and has no cooldown. Then your werebear, your next werewolf skill will heal you for a X when damage is first dealt. So this ring is very specific to shape-shifting build, where you go from werewolf to werebear continuously. There's a few other synergies, including the key passive that you can make a build around this. It's this one, Bestial Rampage. So after being in a werewolf, you gain attack speed, and then after being in a werebear, you gain increased damage. I haven't covered a build for this one, so I don't know the intricacies of it, but it's definitely an interesting build and could be very strong with that unique. For the next unique ring, we have Mother's Embrace. If a core skill hits 5 or more enemies, 20 to 40% of the resource is refunded. This is just a unique that helps with spirit management, keeping your spirit high, always having good generation. Could pair well with the necklace we just talked about. But overall, this is just a good unique universally across all Druid builds and all classes, to be honest. The final ring, we have Ring of the Starless Skies. Each consecutive core skill cast reduces the resource cost of your next core skill by 8 to 12% to a maximum 40%. So in the end game, you're probably going to be spamming your spenders, which are your core skills. So you're probably going to have a reduced cost of 40% pretty much up all the time. Just another good one to synergize with the previous ring and the necklace we just talked about. You could really get some nice defensive layers and some good resource management with all these three uniques. So overall, Druid has some pretty nice uniques. Can be used for many of the builds. Obviously there is some specific to builds like werebear or werewolf or earth-based builds, but overall there's a lot that are quite universal and can be used across all the builds. So whenever you do drop them, they will be rare, so don't guarantee on getting a specific one for a build, but most likely you will be able to use it, or you could build around whatever unique you drop. That'll be it for this video, guys. If you found it useful, don't forget to like and subscribe, and additionally, we also have a Discord up for anyone that needs a clan for the EU server. And also, if any of you guys just want to hang out with other Diablo 4 gamers. Link in the description for the Discord. That's all, guys. I'll see you in the next one.